May Allah reward you handsomely, sir, and rewards all those who you also represented in delivering your message. That's our hope that each time we listen to something that we might not have known before. That is the beauty of being a follower of Muhammad. I'm coming to the issue, but I want to underline that. You know, when we talk of the companions of the Prophet, why do they remain up till today blessed ones that we always pray for? It's for this single factor. The companions as a community, they were divided into two. All of them were the same before the advent of Islam. They were on the same path. But when one of them was sent to them, in fact, like a son to some of them, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that is where the division came. Some people said, we will stick to what we have been doing, no matter what you say. No matter what you say. We are older than you. We are wiser than you. You cannot tell us to leave what we are doing. While this other group said, if Allah has sent you to us, then who are we to disobey God? In fact, I always say vividly to people, go and look at the history of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He made 4 of his uncles alive. How many? 4 of his own uncles, he made them alive on this same issue that I'm saying. Today, 2 of them are in Jannah and 2 are in hellfire. The very uncles of the Prophet himself. This is a very clear example for us to see. And that is what made that difference. 2 of his uncles felt, how can son of my brother come to tell me what I've been doing, what my grandfathers have been doing is wrong? And that is why up till today you all recite Tabbati Yada Abi Lahabin. It's a curse from Almighty Allah. Who is being cursed? Uncle of the Prophet. Abu Lahabin was a direct uncle of our beloved Prophet. The other one is Abu Talib. Abu Talib, you must have heard the story. Even until the point of death, the Prophet kept on telling him, oh dad, oh my uncle, just say La ilaha illallah. Even if you don't pray, I will say forgiveness for you. He refused. I cannot leave what my father did. That was the last statement uttered by Abu Talib. But the other 2, they were equally uncles, far older than him. He was like a son to them. Al-Abbas and who is the other one? Hamza. Today, when we mention Al-Abbas, we say Radiyallahu anhu. When we mention Hamza, we say what? When we say Abu Lahabi, do you say Radiyallahu anhu? Was he not an uncle like Abbas, like Hamza? That is what made that difference. May Allah reward you again, sir, because it's a very good message you passed this morning. Addressing the issue you want me to also address. You see, this is a challenge for scholars. And as I normally say, this is where lies the difference between scholars and celebrities. A celebrity will always say what people want to hear. What people want to hear, because he likes to maintain his popularity. But for a scholar or a student of knowledge like myself, he must say what people want to hear and what people do not want to hear. That is why you are a scholar. Otherwise, you would be punished. And that is why the Quran will always describe our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by what? By 2 qualities. Bashiran wa nadhir. You must do the 2. And that is why I couldn't reject his request of coming to say, at least to the best of my knowledge. It's a controversial issue, but as I said, a scholar or a student of knowledge is not a celebrity. You must not always try to say what people want to hear. But even sometimes you say what you know people may not want to hear. May Allah guide us on the right. The issue of Maulid, unfortunately, and most unfortunately, is a very clear one. I don't know why we are still in this controversy. Some few days ago, somebody posted something on our platform, ostensibly to justify celebration of Maulid. And I said, if you remember, I said, thank you. But the very first sentence of that write-up makes the whole argument dead on arrival. It started, somebody who, subhanallah, who want to defend Maulid, began his write-up by saying Maulid, which was introduced in the 5th century of Hijrah. It's already dead on arrival. How can something you also admit was introduced some 500 years after your Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how can that become part of your deen? It's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this position. We should be talking of things that are more important. But some people up till today, they will insist, they will argue. And that is the point I want to raise this morning. If we all agree this is a factual thing, is a matter of history, when was Maulud introduced into our deen? Some 400 or 500 years after the demise of my beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And how, for God's sake, how can that become part of our deen? To further emphasize what I'm saying, Al-Imam Malik rahimahullah, our leader, let me quote what Malik said in his lifetime. Malik stood up one day and read a verse of Al-Quran al-Karim that we all know up till today. That verse was revealed towards the tail end of the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wherein Allah said, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-islam dina. Al-yawm, today, I have completed for you your religion. I have done what? Completed for you. If it is a religion that I revealed through Muhammad, Allah said it categorically while he was alive, although toward the tail end of his life, that I have been revealing it in piecemeal, one after the other. But today, it is complete. Then Malik, do you know what Malik rahimahullah said? And I want us to please bear this in mind. Anytime something new is being introduced to you, Malik said, have you all heard this verse of Al-Quran? فَإِنَّهُ مَا لَمْ يَكُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ دِينًا فَلَنْ يَكُونَ الْيَوْمَ دِينًا. Whatever was not part of the religion of Islam on that day, which day? The day the verse was revealed, Malik said it can never become part of religion today. Let me repeat it. Whatever was not part of the deen that Allah said he had done what? He had completed. It's logical. Whatever was not part of that deen on that day cannot become part of it today. When was that day Malik was speaking? Malik died in the year 179. Yes, 179 after Hijrah. Less than 200 years. We are talking of more than 1,000 years. What was not deen 200 years after the Prophet, can it become deen after 1,000 years? We should be judges of our own cases. That's why I said it's a very simple matter. Unfortunately, I don't know why people are still arguing, are still insisting on this matter. And finally, let me add one more point. Some people will erroneously, mischievously think that leave those who are talking against Maulid, they don't like progress. They don't love progress. We that are celebrating, are the lovers. Please stop telling lies. It's unfortunate because you do know implication of what you are saying. It means the best generation of Muslims did not like Prophet. That's the implication. Because they never did Maulid. So if the yardstick, the benchmark for measuring the love of the Prophet is celebration of Maulid, then you are saying Abu Bakr did not like the Prophet. Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, never loved her father. That's the implication. And I said lie. I chose that word because it's a total lie. We can never love him the same way, even near to the level of their love for the Prophet. They really loved him. Really, really, in the true sense of that word. Loved him to the extent that you can never imagine. But yet, they didn't celebrate Maulid. Why they didn't do that? Because he warned them before he left that you should not add anything to the religion that I brought to you. Maulid is a matter of religion. It's a matter of religion. It's not a social event. And that is why some people will always say, when you celebrate your own birthday, then you refuse to celebrate birthday of the Prophet. Don't mix up two different things. Your own birthday is a social event. The birthday of the Prophet ﷺ is a deen. Anything in connection with the Prophet ﷺ is a religion. That is why it is not acceptable. You shouldn't mix up the two things. Maulid is not a social event. It's a religious event. And religion cannot be invented some 400, 500 years after he had gone. He warned against this before he left. فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ أَحْدَثَ فِي أَمْرِنَا هَذَا مَا لَيْسَ مِنْهُ فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. I wouldn't like to take much of your time, but let me mention or tell you a story that will clearly, for anybody that is sincere, to know that we can never love the Prophet like his companions. Never. We can't. We should stop deceiving ourselves. If their own love did not tell them to do what you are doing today, you should examine yourself. A woman, I won't tell you the story of Abu Bakr, you all know the extent of his love for the Prophet. I won't tell you that of Umar. I won't tell you that of his own daughter, Fatima radiyallahu anha. You know all this. But I will tell you a strange one. A woman, an ordinary woman, of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After the Battle of Uhud, which was one of the most devastating wars fought by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a lot of Muslims were killed, martyred in that war. It was even rumored in Medina because the war was very close. It was at the Askat, just immediately at the boundary of Medina. So it wasn't far. It was rumored throughout Medina that even the Prophet himself sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been killed. It was rumored. Then all of them came out. Women, men, children, they all came out. At least to see who and who survived. Then one woman, in just one incident, look at it. She lost her husband to that war. She lost her son to that war, and lost her father to that war. One single war took 3 precious lives that were so dear to her. But strange enough, this is the point. When all of them came and the woman also was among them, they were looking at corpses of martyrs to see whether my relative survives or is among those who have been killed. See, they were all checking. They observed this woman. She saw her son dead, and she kept on moving as if nothing has happened. Her own son. Later, she saw her husband also killed, and she kept on moving. People, you will expect a woman to break down, seeing her son in blood, seeing her husband in blood. Then later, she saw her father also in blood, killed. But she kept on going. They didn't know. Then all of a sudden, she cited Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet, my beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. By the time she saw the Prophet ﷺ, she started smiling. She started doing what? Smiling. Someone that has just seen the corpse of her son, a woman that has just seen the corpse of her husband, has just seen the dead body of her father. But on seeing the Prophet ﷺ, she was smiling and said, "Kullul masa'ib ba'daka hayya." Any calamity that comes to one, that befalls one, is bearable, except a calamity that will befall one on account of your death. That is the only one that I cannot bear. I can bear the death of my son, my father, my husband, but not yours. This is a clear example, just one, to show you that we should stop deceiving ourselves. We can never, I'm repeating it, have the same level of love that they had for the Prophet. But yet, they didn't celebrate his Maulid because he warned them against doing so. The Almighty Allah continue to guide all of us aright. And let us see the light, what Allah really wants, clearly, and give us the courage to follow it. وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم. عليكم السلام. Malam Mani.
Thank you for the fatwa.
Thank God.
I just want to ask, aside celebrating the Maulid, is there any act of ibadah or any other thing that is suspected of a Muslim during the period?
You see, in fact, it is ironical. It's ironical. And please go and verify what I'm going to say. There is no agreement on the actual date of the birth of the Prophet ﷺ. You know that? Yes. Up till today, nobody can say precisely that the Prophet was born on so-so date. Nothing. Up till today. The so-called 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal is not agreed upon. But ironically, like I said, the only date that is agreed upon is the date of his death. And that is 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. And that is why some scholars will even suspect the enemies of Islam of being the real promoters of this celebration. Because if you are to celebrate the death of the Prophet ﷺ, that means you are his enemy. So, answering your question, even the day itself, if we are to do something, we should be mourning. That's what I'm trying to say. If at all we should do something specifically, because that is the only date agreed upon. Not as being the date of his birth, but as being the date of his death. Without any iota of doubt, the Prophet ﷺ lived this world on the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. How come it became a day of celebration? We should be mourning. If at all we want to do something special. Because like that woman said, that is the most severe calamity that can befall one as a Muslim, as a believer. The loss of our beloved Prophet. So to answer your question, there is no any specific act of ibadah. Because if there is one, he would have told us. He didn't. And even, I just remembered one point now. Imagine, if Maulid is so important, how come a verse of Al-Quran was not revealed? Because if you see the way some people will take it, if it is that important, you should ask yourself that question. How come even a single verse will not be revealed on such an important matter of religion? Not only that, even a weak hadith, not an authentic hadith. A weak hadith will forget to mention Maulid for God's sake. Because nobody up till today will be able to say the Prophet said, celebrate Maulid. Even in a weak, I'm not saying of authentic, a weak hadith. Nothing. So all these, if we put them together, and let me remind you of what I started with, it's not strange, it's not a blame on you that I've not known something before, but I've known now. What will be blameworthy is for you to continue. Because that is, again, what made the difference between the two uncles of the Prophet. The relation to the Prophet was the same. But because two of them insisted on what they have been doing, and two of them said, well, you are like a son to us, but God sent us. Who are we? We have agreed. We will follow you. And that is what made a difference. I ask Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give all of us that courage of imitating Al-Abbas, of emulating Hamza, and not imitating or emulating Abu Lahabi or Abu Talib. But the choice is actually yours. You have a choice to make, and Allah has given us those examples. Look at Abu Lahab, look at Abu Talib, and look at Abbas, and look at Hamza, and make your choice. May Allah guide us aright to make the best choice. We are prolonging this matter.
Okay. The last Friday khutbah of the mosque, the Prophet Mosque of Medina, I have a video that is ending the Imam making reference of about the celebration. I don't know if you have seen that.
Yes, I've seen it.
What is the celebration? Because you made some statement.
And that is one of the unfortunate things. Because the Imam talked about attitude, qualities of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some people went to the internet and said even Saudi Arabia is now celebrating Maulid. It's mischievous. It's mischievous. In fact, if this is something we should be doing all the year round, to tell ourselves of the qualities, of the attitudes, of the behaviors of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the fact that that khutbah coincided with the week of celebration, so people went to the internet, but this has been disputed even from Saudi Arabia itself, that you should be careful of what you say. That, oh, you can now see even Saudi Arabia has started celebrating Maulid. It's mischievous, total mischief. And we don't need all these. Wallahi, to me, this issue of Maulid is a no issue. Because it's very clear.
Yeah.
You yourself just ask yourself that question. When was it introduced? 400, 500 years? So those who lived before those years, they didn't know Islam? Haba. May Allah guide us. Sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.